Hi everyone. So as Summer mentioned, we'll be talking about how to connect to Wi-Fi and data today. Oops. So today's talk will cover what the difference is between Wi-Fi and data, how you could go about connecting to Wi-Fi and your data, how you can share your data through a hotspot when you're out of the home or out of a place that has Wi-Fi access, and how you can manage your data usage more effectively, as well as how you can use both at the same time. So firstly, what is Wi-Fi? Wi-Fi is a wireless form of technology that allows devices to connect to the internet using radio waves. So I know like a few years ago, people were concerned about whether Wi-Fi was safe or not. Because radio waves are really low in frequency, so they're pretty large in terms of wavelength, they're completely safe. And essentially how Wi-Fi waves work is that they're signals that are transmitted from a router to the devices that have Wi-Fi capabilities. So a router sources all those waves, like the radio waves, and then they make it to your device, and that's how you can connect to the internet. Mobile data is internet connectivity provided by cellular networks through your mobile service provider. So this is in the absence of a router. So typically, if you're like outside of an institution or like outside of the house where you don't have a router, this is when you can connect to data through like cellular networks and towers. So as for how to go about connecting to Wi-Fi, you would first, open device settings, select Wi-Fi, and then choose a network that you know from that list. And then some of them are protected by passwords. Some of them are public. If there is a password to be entered, you'll be prompted to do so in order to connect. And then going on to connecting to data, it's a similar process. You would open your device's settings and then go to network and internet or something similar on another form of device if it's not iOS. And then you would enable mobile data or cellular data, and then that would allow you to connect. And sometimes these are also, oh wait, no, sorry, this, I'll go on to the next one. So for Wi-Fi versus data. So Wi-Fi confers a few advantages relative to data in the sense that you have the ability to have faster speeds, a more stable connection, and no data limits because it's usually location based. So the router is ideally in close proximity to you, and therefore the speed is faster. But it does also have some disadvantages. Of course, there's limited range. So once you leave that space, your Wi-Fi connection usually gets severed as well. There's also some security concerns. So if you're in a public place and you're using public Wi-Fi, there is an opportunity for like data interception. So ensuring that when you're connecting to Wi-Fi in a public place, it's like you ideally like a trusted network that you're connecting to, and those usually tend to be like password protected or like someone that you know. On the other end, data has some advantages over Wi-Fi and some disadvantages that we'll go over. So as for the advantages, mobile data allows for wide coverage and more accessibility. And then some disadvantages are limited speeds depending on like where you're at or proximity to towers, and then data caps as well. And these are some additional details that we just covered as well. So now moving on to hotspot. This is when you can share your device's mobile data connection with other devices. So to become a hotspot, your device broadcasts like a Wi-Fi signal that other devices can connect to. The best analogy really is, this is not exactly what occurs, but if you kind of think of at home, like your router is like that source of Wi-Fi. In this case, when you're outside of the house and you have access to data, your device kind of serves as that source for other devices to connect to. So you're kind of like a mini router when you're sharing your hotspot with someone else. So as for how to go about doing this, it's very similar to connecting to Wi-Fi and data when you're setting up a hotspot. So you could open up your device settings. There's this option usually for like hotspot and tethering, or share my personal hotspot or something similar depending on your device. Then you can click allow others to join, portable hotspot or a similar option, and then you can connect to other devices to your hotspot, usually again through entering a password. For security purposes, it's encouraged to set a strong password to prevent unauthorized access. Since data is often something that you pay for and is limited, so that adds that additional protection. So as for managing data usage, here are a few tips that we have. The first is to use Wi-Fi for very large downloads and streaming music or videos. The second is monitor your data usage using device settings. You can also set data usage alerts or limits. It's also best when you're using data to close any background apps since they, especially those that use network. And then the next would be use data saving modes on apps as well. So you could really optimize your data usage. You can also use Wi-Fi and data simultaneously. So some devices can use both connections for faster browsing and downloads. So the benefits that this confers is faster speeds and load balancing. So we kind of briefly did touch on this, but we'll just reiterate it quickly in the sense that Wi-Fi allows for faster speeds, which makes it ideal for things like streaming or downloads. And there's also more of a stable connection, so you have consistent performance, and there are no data limits. So usually it's unlimited usage. On the other end, the advantages of mobile data, just to reiterate, are wider coverage. You can access them in remote areas or areas where you don't have a router. So like if you're not indoors. And then from an accessibility standpoint, it's essentially internet on the go. So it's a great backup option when Wi-Fi isn't available to you. Some disadvantages of Wi-Fi, like I said, it kind of works within just a specific area. And there are some security concerns as well. So someone could kind of intercept or access your Wi-Fi if you don't have a password. So it's very important to set a secure password to prevent this. And then mobile data also has like similar disadvantages in the sense that you want to set up like a password so that people can't access it via hotspot without authorization. But also the biggest one is like data limits. So a lot of plans when you're purchasing data have usage caps. There are some that have unlimited data, but those are highly expensive relative to the ones that do have limits. And then also, it isn't like a ubiquitously consistent signal when you don't have access to Wi-Fi, in the sense that when you're like outside, depending on where you're at, you might have weaker reception or weaker signal in some areas. So those are some disadvantages. And then if you're wondering how to switch between like data and hotspot, you can disable mobile data using Wi-Fi to avoid any unnecessary usage. Turn off your Wi-Fi when using data to prevent connection issues. And you can also use like the smart network switch settings if your device has that, if available, in order to do that. These are some additional resources to explore, which we could talk about in greater detail later. And that concludes the presentation. So thank you so much for your attention and for listening.